my goodness, here we go. Lit term review number 5. We're going to be covering metonymy, mood, motif, onomatopoeia, oxymoron, and parallelism today. So, as always, let's set them up and knock them down. Here we go. Our first word is metonymy. Now, it's a little bit complicated because it is a figure of speech. It's a way of saying something, but we want to make sure we differentiate it from like a metaphor. A metaphor, right, compares two different things. However, metonymy replaces one thing with the name of something else that is closely related. They're connected. So it's probably best to understand this by just hearing a couple examples. Well, we hear metonymy every day. So if you hear something like England declared the attack as an act of terrorism, England meaning the government of England, right? In Julius Caesar, there's a line by Mark Antony that says, "Friends, Roman, and countrymen, lend me your ears." Now, he's not actually saying, give me your ears. He actually means, ears meaning the concept of attention, listening to him. Right, so they're just closely connected. So the name of one thing is replaced by another. Think of this saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. Pen stands for written words. Sword stands for acts of war, right? So that's the idea of metonymy. Our next word, mood, is actually harder to define than it is maybe to identify in a piece of literature. So mood is the feeling that we get from something we read, the emotion involved, the atmosphere, kind of the vibe we get when we read a passage, right? So an author doesn't usually come out, at least not a decent one, and says the mood was scary or the mood was creepy. We get the sense of it being creepy by the way the author describes things, the setting, the words that are chosen. That's how the author develops a mood. Right, listen to this example from Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. "Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before." So in that passage, I would think it has kind of a mysterious mood to it, right? And if you've said also, hey, there's a lot of alliteration there, well, that would do my heart good. Boy, that's pretty awesome that you picked up on that. But the author, Edgar Allan Poe, is developing this kind of mysterious, unsure mood through those lines. Okay, so a motif can be a little bit complicated because it sounds like a symbol, but it is not a symbol. Symbol is something that represents something in a text, like the conch in Lord of the Flies represented power, authority. A motif is a recurring image or sound or figure, something that continues throughout a work that helps contribute to the theme of the work. All right, so that's kind of how you differentiate a motif versus a symbol. And it's not the theme itself, it just helps develop or point to the theme. So let's say a theme in To Kill a Mockingbird is good and evil. And then you would look and see a motif of this is childhood innocence. And you see the constant playing of the children in the neighborhood, right? Or for evil, perhaps like a lot of the suspense that's happening, the fear of Boo Radley, this mysterious character in the neighborhood, the superstitions that are troubling the kids, like spirits in the middle of the road and that kind of thing. So there's these motifs, these things that show up over and over that kind of contribute to the overall theme. I feel like we've had a lot of hard words, so here's a little bit of an easier one. Hard to spell, but easy to know what it means. Onomatopoeia, which is basically the word for something that is very closely related to the way it sounds, right? You think like buzz for a bee's buzzing, or you think thump for something falling on the ground, or boing for a spring, right? Those kinds of things are great examples of onomatopoeia, which is just the way that something sounds, right? Meow for an animal, or oink. Those are the words that represent the sounds to us. So an oxymoron is when you have two opposite or contradictory terms that are kind of stuck together for effect, sometimes even comedic. If you think of like jumbo shrimp, right? That makes no sense really with those two words together. You could have liquid gas, right? How is it both at the same time? So you have a passage from Romeo and Juliet that really captures this idea of oxymoron, because Romeo is trying to describe the horrible, sickening feelings he's getting from love. And he says, loving hate, heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. Just to kind of express the turmoil he's feeling inside from love. And you wouldn't think if it was really love, you would be feeling those things. Those contradictory things are jammed together in oxymorons. So a parallelism is kind of built in. You know, when things are parallel, they work side by side. So a parallelism is when you see in a sentence or a poem or a paragraph, like similar grammatical or similar sounding structures happening one after the other, developing a pattern. So some examples of parallelism, we have some common sayings we've heard, like father, like son. So that same construct repeats, like and like. He came, he saw, he conquered. Again, you have that repetition. The grammatical is just repeated once, twice, three times. There's a passage at the beginning of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Listen to this. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. Real obvious parallelism there, right? The same grammatical construct over and over again. So believe it or not, we finished another list of lit terms, and I'm really hoping those come in handy when it comes to kind of understanding and taking apart literature and trying to examine it. Until next time, see you then.